Hey guys, Eric Martel here, and today I'm going to talk about the San Francisco real estate bubble. After years and years of going up and up and up, it is actually starting to burst. In this video, we're going to get into some of the unique situations in the San Francisco Bay Area, the changes we're seeing in the actual numbers in the real estate market, and what the future should look like for San Francisco. As a real estate investor with over 500 houses across the US, I am very familiar with the San Francisco Bay Area because I used to live there myself for over 20 years. And thank goodness I sold a few years ago because the situation here is blowing up. I don't want to hit the alarm, but all the red flags are planted and this bubble is ready to pop. But before we get into what is making San Francisco take a dive, make sure you like and subscribe because in this recession, some markets are going to crash and others are going to stabilize. Because recessions are where millionaires are made. There is no corner of the world quite like it. And here are 5 unique things happening in the San Francisco Bay Area that are all driving down demand for real estate. First off, the industries that drive the market. The San Francisco real estate market is really driven by high-tech and biotech. Translation, the people that live there are very highly paid and many of them are getting something called stock options and bonuses on top of their salary. And for many of them, these stock options and bonuses dwarf the amount of money they make as salary. But over the past few years, high-tech is changing with the ability for people to work from home. There's a growing option for people to relocate to cities that are more affordable. The people here are wealthy, but this new trend in employment in the industry has reduced demand for homes in San Francisco. Second, let's talk about the stock market. Because these highly paid individuals are getting stock options as part of their compensation, the value of these stock options are heavily driven by the stock market. The reason for this is that the stock options have a strike price, and if the price of the stock goes below that value, it's pretty much worthless. And when we have a stock market downturn, many of the people that could afford a house earlier by using their stock options no longer can. Many of these would-be home buyers may hold off until the stock market comes back up. In a tech-driven market, when the tech stocks go down, demand for houses go down too. So what else about San Francisco makes it a unique market? Well, it's one of the best cities in the world to live in. Well, at least it used to be before the pandemic. Since then, San Francisco has seen a rise in crime and homelessness, and many popular restaurants and bars have gone out of business and remained empty since 2020. People who love their neighborhood suddenly find themselves in a less appealing one. This may not be as big a factor as the stock market, but people want exciting, safe places to live. So millennials at the family formation stage may decide to move to another city or live even further away to get away. And of course, inflation and interest rate have basically made everything that used to be expensive even more expensive, including housing and rent. Lower affordability also means lower demand. And last but not least, in the world, and even more so in San Francisco, is the fear of recession. Tech companies were some of the first to start instituting hiring freezes and layoffs, and believe me, everybody in town is afraid that they may be losing their job. Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, and Google have announced layoffs and hiring freezes in San Francisco Bay Area, and this is worrying many employees that they may be next. Believe me, if you think you're going to be losing your job, you don't feel like buying a house. So how does this lowering demand in the area actually play out? More houses are up for sale on the market, they are staying on the market longer, and now for the first time in as long as I can remember, we are seeing price reductions. These dynamics cause a change in market psychology. As a buyer, I don't feel like I have to do an all-cash offer anymore or 10% above asking price, and I may feel necessary to add contingencies, which buyers could never do before. On the seller's side, they are realizing that they didn't get as many offers as they expected, and that the price of the offers were not as high as they expected either. And because of the reduced demand, they have far less leverage to negotiate. In a nutshell, sellers are more flexible and buyers feel like they have more negotiating power. This is a seller's market turning into a buyer's market. So let's talk about some real numbers that show how the real estate market in San Francisco is changing. The median house sales price is down to $1.9 million in June compared to $2.1 million only 2 months ago. This is a 10% decline month over month, but this is still 20% above pandemic level. And this change is a big change. The year-over-year appreciation rate, which basically looks at the house value last year compared to this year, is not looking good. In April 2022, the appreciation rate was 14%, but in June, that appreciation rate was negative 3%. Let's look at new listings year over year. This number tells us how many new houses are going on the market. This year, the number of new listings were higher than in 2021 all year, except in June, when the number dropped 10% from 820 in 2021 to 736 in June. This indicates a change in seller psychology and in market confidence. Homeowners may have decided to postpone sale of their house because they feel it is not the right time. They may feel that this decline in the real estate market is only temporary, and if they wait a few months, it'll get better. Or they may need to sell the current house in order to move into a new house, and now that new house is not affordable. The number of active listings is going through the roof. It is 25% higher than it was in June 2021. This number is prescriptive of the overall market. It's not just about how many new listings there are, but how quickly they are getting bought, if sellers are pulling out, not qualifying for loans, all the typical things that happen in a downward-facing market. This means the housing supply is going up, which pulls the housing prices down. Not convinced yet? The number of price reductions has literally doubled from last year. This is one of the biggest signals that prices are going down. And the final one, the cherry on the sundae, is the monthly sales volume. The monthly sales volume was 30% lower than the same time last year. This is way down. So is the San Francisco real estate market bubble bursting? Well, this is just the beginning. We're definitely seeing the signs, there's no mistake. You've seen the numbers, and these numbers are telling you that supply is going up and demand is going down. And these two things together are a recipe for a crash. It may be a full-on crash or it could be just a correction, but the arrow is pointing down. And we'll just have to wait and see how big the correction is going to be. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.